growing up in New York is, there's something special about it. Like everyone, when you carry that culture, that heritage, you wear it wherever you go. And, we've got something about it, something about us being from New York. You're just more aggressive, you're more kind of get to it. There's no bullshit, and people, I think, pick that up, when you meet New Yorkers in any other place besides New York. And a lot of times when I tell people that I'm from New York, they're like, yeah, I kind of figured that. So my first memory of boxing is watching with my grandfather. My grandfather was from Argentina. He lived in my household with me growing up. And we weren't really a big athlete house, like my father and my mother. On Long Island, everybody works. So my parents weren't really around a whole lot. Spent a lot of time with my grandparents. And my grandfather, if there was ever a fight on, Tuesday night fights on ESPN, Friday night fights, Saturday night, Showtime, HBO, we were watching. I was sitting on his lap, watching fights. He was in my ear talking to me about Alexis Arguello, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Bernard Hopkins. And so I grew up just hearing about those guys. This is my first memory of any kind of sport is boxing, it's professional boxing, and hearing about great champions. And then in the 90s, his favorite fighter was Roy Jones Jr. So we always watched Roy Jones, and Mike Tyson too. So Roy Jones, Mike Tyson, Oscar De La Hoya, he loved too. So I grew up just around that, and that's where my passion lies. For me as a little kid, sitting on my grandfather's lap, watching fights, hearing about great fighters, I was like, man, this guy's my hero. So his heroes, I want to be those guys. I think I've wanted to be a professional boxer for as long as I can remember. Like I said, I've said it before, it's my first memory of any sport. And just watching two men battle it out with literally the only things that God gave you is your hands and your mind. And it's will and skill, one man versus another man. And the great thing about boxing, to me, I think now as I look back on it, having more knowledge about sports and physiology and training and exercise, you don't have to be any particular thing to be a good boxer. You just got to find what works for you. And I think the skill aspect and the mentality aspect plays such a major role that a lot of people kind of gloss over. Some casuals might miss out on what's really going on in a boxing ring. I've always said it's like the fastest chess game in the world. You got two guys going move for move, trying to set each other up. When it's done right, it's really a beautiful thing. The mindset required to be a boxer is one of a champion. I've thought of myself as even long before I was a champion, I was thinking about, I need to live like a champion, I need to act like a champion, I need to breathe, eat, do everything like a champion in order to be that way. You just get accustomed to what it takes, and in the beginning, it's so hard, everything's hard. Everything's so hard, you never think you'll be good at it. But over time, you stay to it, you gotta be disciplined, you gotta be diligent, you gotta keep working, and eventually, what used to be impossible becomes normal. And then you just keep pushing, keep progressing, and that's what being a champion's all about, and that's what the mindset for a boxer requires. Now, it's not always easy. There's ups, there's downs. There's the casual fans on the outside who might say this. There's the guy that talks to you right after your fight. Could be even close to you and say, hey man, why don't you do this? It's easy to say from the outside, but you just got to take that and keep moving. I always say you got to have a thick skin and a short memory when it comes to being a boxer. You've got to be able to kind of let things roll off your back, and at the same time, someone says something, take it, use it, don't let it go. So after the Provodnikov fight, when I was leading up to fighting Manny Pacquiao, at that point, my mindset, I was indestructible. I just fought the Siberian Rocky. I was a 10 or 12 to 1 underdog. I came out of nowhere, to even get that fight, let alone win that fight. I got severely damaged in my right eye in the beginning of the fight and came through and got the victory. So in my mind, going into the Pacquiao fight, I was as high as I could be. I was 20-0. I was a world champion. For me, I was going out there to keep that train going, keep that momentum. I had a lot of respect for Manny Pacquiao. I have even more respect now that I've fought him, and to see what he's done since. But yeah, at that time, maybe I was a little young and dumb, didn't understand what was going on, but I was super confident, and I had that air about me. I knew what I could do. As long as I was prepared properly, I was feeling really confident about that fight.